Hey there, Jim Johnson for Accent Help here. And I had a question from somebody about the stop quality of THs. Well, don't worry, I'm actually going to expand beyond that. The thing I want to talk about primarily is about TH sounds and what happens with them in pretty much all ESL accents, English as a second language accents, and also happens in a lot of native speaker accents. So the TH sounds don't exist in most languages. There are two different TH sounds. There's an unvoiced one and a voiced one. So the unvoiced one is written like this phonetically, and this one is the voiced one. So this would be like things and these. Okay? So first of all, I think it's important for you to understand the concept of those. What happens in a lot of accents, like almost every ESL accent, and also happens for some speakers like Cockneys, like people from New York, and many other places as well, is that these kind of become a little bit dulled. Like they become a little bit D and T-like. More T for the voiceless and D-like for the voiced. So if we're looking at this with regards to the IPA, there are a couple of different ways to note that. You might even take these symbols and just say, well, they get dentalized. Well, the deal is both of those happen in relation to the teeth anyway. They're either dental on the back of the teeth, or they're actually interdental, meaning that your tongue comes between your teeth. Right? So you can have a couple of different ways that those happen. So I don't know if dentalized is the most accurate way to go into that. The other thing that they also oftentimes will do, but this can be a little bit of a shift, is if I make this into a little box, this is now the diacritic for laminalized, which I had to look it up. Laminalized years ago, happily, but laminalized means moving to the blade of the tongue. So to help you understand this, most of the time we do T's and D's. Most people probably who are native English speakers do T's and D's with the tip of the tongue. The tip of the tongue, the teeth, the lips, if you've ever heard of that. And the tip of the tongue is right at the end of the tongue, whereas the blade of the tongue is sort of getting just onto the top of the tongue. So laminalizing means not so much, but almost like you're curling your tongue a little bit in that direction. I still don't think this is a great reflection of what happens in many accents, because what I think they tend to do is move towards sort of a T and a D that are either dentalized, T and D, or are laminalized, which I think is probably a hint more accurate maybe. Things, these. And in fact, many people will even do that with their T's and D's in some of those accents. Like New Yorkers might go, those things, and they might say, don't take. So you still get a little bit of that laminalization, moving on to the blade of the tongue. You can also just think of this as like going dull with the tongue, making it a very dull sound. These. So I'm kind of pressing my tongue a little bit into the back of my teeth. The reality is I think I'm doing both dentalizing and laminalizing, moving to the blade, but you're not supposed to use more than one diacritic on a word, on a symbol. So we kind of got to go with just one of those. The other thing that happens is that because the THs don't exist in most languages, ESL speakers really commonly are searching for something to do. And so oftentimes they'll do something that resembles a T or a D, or they'll do something that resembles an S or a Z, or sometimes even something that resembles an F or a V. And those will also happen for some native speakers, like for some Cockney speakers, for example. They might actually say things, more of an F-like thing, and they might say those, a little bit more of a D-like thing, but then at the end of a word, like breathe, it might become breathe. And in the middle of a word, it might be either brother, or me brother. Could probably go either way in that case. So you do get variations on this, But the big reason these change in ESL accents is because they don't exist in most languages. They're pretty uncommon sounds. So ESL speakers, English as a second language speakers, are trying to find something that works. And while they struggle, they tend to go to something that's more familiar to them, like a T or an S or an F, or a D or a Z or a V. There's a little bit of insight on variations that commonly happen with TH sounds. For more info on how to do accents in general, check out accenthelp.com.